Dr. Sharif Abdullah offers a unique, hopeful, and visionary perspective on the persistent challenges of our time. His perspective is shaped by his urban upbringing of poverty and violence, his Ivy League education, and his work with impacted communities in America and in 45 countries around the world. His spiritual outlook is rooted in the consciousness of dozens of religions, faith traditions, and spiritual practices. Sharif offers this unique viewpoint, helping us chart a course that explains where we've been, where we are now, and how we get to a positive future that works for all living beings.
Hello, Sharif here, and today I want to talk to you about consciousness. For those of you who know me, I talk a lot about consciousness. This is going to be a short primer on all the stuff that I've talked about in terms of consciousness over the years. I want to start with two Einstein quotes. Both of them are in my book, Creating a World That Works for All. He says, "The unleashed power of the atom has changed everything except our modes of thinking, and thus we drift toward unparalleled catastrophes. We shall require a substantially new manner of thinking if humanity is to survive. Not if humanity is going to change or not if humanity is going to reach our potential. If we're going to survive, we need a substantially new way of thinking." Now, so far, we haven't done that. Let me get to the second Einstein quote. He says, "A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe." Okay, so he's saying that a human being, me and you and everybody else, we're each a part of the universe. Then he goes on to say, "A part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty." Now, so what he's saying is, first quote, we're heading for catastrophes, unparalleled catastrophes. We've never even seen these catastrophes before. And then he's saying we have a delusion in our consciousness. And the delusion is that an I am separate from a you. Now, over the course of the last 20 or 30 years that I've been talking and writing about this, that delusion has become more powerful. That delusion has become all-encompassing for us. And so what we have to do is start the process of teasing out a whole new form of consciousness. So I'm looking at consciousness in two directions. One is the delusion consciousness that says, I'm separate. We're going to call that exclusivity or exclusive consciousness. And then there's the consciousness that says, we are one. I'm going to call that inclusive consciousness. So, which one do you have right now? Well, if you're listening to me and you're listening to me in English, there's a 99% probability that you're operating from exclusive consciousness. It's what we're taught from the time we're born. It's what our school systems teach us. It's how we process the world. What I'm suggesting to you is that we together have to get over that. And we have to get over it in a very profound way. That's what Einstein is also suggesting. We're in the same boat on that one. So in my book, I postulated 3 different types of consciousness. And those 3 different types of consciousness I put into 3 categories: the keepers, the breakers, and the menders. The keepers are the people that we call the indigenous people. They're the people who see themselves as one with all. They have practiced for almost 1,000,000 years of humanity on this planet. They've practiced the ideal of being one with themselves, one with each other, one with all other beings, one with the earth. And when I say humans are 1,000,000 years old, my marker is, when did human beings start doing something that nobody else could do, that monkeys couldn't do, that great apes couldn't do, that no other being could do? And my marker is when human beings started using and manipulating fire. It's one of the things that is singular to human beings on the planet. And there's evidence, there's archaeological evidence that human beings have been doing that for about 1,000,000 years. So we've got this long history on this planet. Somewhere during that history, somewhere around 10 to 12,000 years ago, that consciousness diverged. And part of that divergent consciousness was us starting to think about ourselves, other beings, the earth herself. We started thinking about them as objects, not as an integral part of who I am. We gave up we are one thinking to thinking I'm separate. I'm separate from them. They look different from me. I'm separate from them. They act different from me. I'm separate from them just because I don't like them. And all of our behavior, all of our education, our knowledge, etc., has been based on this principle of I am separate. We consider the teaching of indigenous people as old, as antiquated, as backwards. We are not, we're not them. We're advanced because we've learned how to kill each other more efficiently. So we got the keepers, the people who keep to the sacred ways, the people who keep their relationship with the earth. And now we got the breakers, this 10,000, 12,000 year experiment that has reached its end. Okay, this is the terminal point of the experiment. This is where everything that we said that would, all the things that we tried to avoid over the course of the last 10, 12,000 years is come calling right now. Then we get to the third level of consciousness, and that is the consciousness of the Menders. The Menders are those of us raised in breaker consciousness, like me. I got 2 degrees in breaker consciousness. But we consciously say, no, we're not going to do things that way. We consciously say, we are going to act as though we are one. I am going to practice in all of my relationships, we are one. I'm going to practice we are one with my most primary relationship, and that is with myself. How many people don't practice we are one with themselves? Well, how many people commit suicide every day? How many people do things that are actively harmful to themselves in deed, in word, and in thought? How many people think badly about themselves? And that gives you a measure of how deep this we are one has to go. So we are one with with ourselves. We're one with our intimates, family and others we choose to bring into our intimate circle. We are one with all others, including those we think of as enemies, including those we want to push away from. We are one with all other living beings. I talk to all of the plants that you see behind me, and I acknowledge that we are one. They get something from me. I get something from them. We are in a relationship of mutuality, and that's true for every other being on the planet, including the beings you don't particularly like. Once you get to that point, the universe is going to give you plenty of opportunities for you to switch tracks and say, oh, it'd be really easy for me to put that person down right now, but I'm not going to do it because I recognize that we are one. The universe will give you plenty of opportunities to, and you're walking down the street, for you to acknowledge someone, to look at them in the eye, to smile at them and say hello. In your mind, you're saying, we are one. Sometimes they may not respond to you. Sometimes they may respond to you angrily. But I'm thinking more and more of us, when we do that, they're going to be responding positively. If you want to learn how to do that with others, and learn how to do that in a safe way with others, Commonway will have a lot of opportunities for you in the very near future for you to sign up for classes, to sign up for working on some of our projects, and to get involved with this process where we change our consciousness from I am separate to we are one. Thank you.
You are invited to participate in the discussions and activities that will define a positive future for all. We are at the cusp of the expansion of our human consciousness, beyond the limitations of our past. Together, we can envision a world that embraces our human potential. Together, we can create a world that can truly work for all living beings.